Hello everyone and welcome back to Timberborn. This is episode 29 on the road to 1000 beavers. In the last episode we finished constructing the levees all around our third tier for this reservoir. We are just now waiting for the water to fill up, that way we can have this mechanical fluid pump get some more water into here, but that's not going to be happening soon because we have a drought approaching in 1.9 days, so we're not going to have much water get pumped into here. And instead we're going to have to wait through an entire drought before we start filling some water up in this section. We have a bunch of power sources to power all 4 of these mechanical fluid pumps. In fact, I think we're actually combining every power source that we can. We have the gravity batteries, we have these windmills, we have beaver power right here, and then we also have some water wheels over here. And if you look in the power section, that is actually all 4 of them. You could technically say we have the wind turbine and the large wind turbine, but those are basically the same thing. Hopefully by the end of this video we can see at least a little bit of water going into here, but we will check on that later in the video. For now we're going to hop back over to our second district where we have a bunch of the spatter dock that's growing up, and we actually do have an unemployed bot over here, so we're going to toss the bots into this aquatic farmhouse, that way they can help harvest the spatter dock round the clock. We also added some fun activities for the beavers. We have the mud pits, and then we have some fun decorations that are lining the paths and adjacent to the campfires, all in an effort to get their well-being up. It's currently at 53, 54. Overall we're at 48, so we're actually not doing too bad. We have been short on books in the entire world, and I realized I did not have this prioritized by haulers, but we might need to make even more of these printing presses if we want to get a substantial amount of books. And we can actually do a little bit of rearranging. If we get a few platforms placed down, we can move this tapper shack over. Then we can remove this one and then add another printing press. And then we'll once again set it to bots and have it set to books. But that's just a minor detail for this district. One thing that I do want to focus on today is trying to get our beaver population up. We have 765 occupied beds. I want to get that up to above 850. And then hopefully by the end of the next episode we can actually reach 1000 beavers. But it's going to take quite a bit of effort. And I think we can take advantage of these cliffs right here. If we remove one of these campfires, we can then get a path going through here, get some of the dirt blocks to overhang off the edge, and then we can fit in a zipline station and maybe even a couple more campfires. And thankfully it looks like my plan is going to work. I want to have one of these zipline stations right here and then add in some more houses on this side, but I want to make sure they can actually reach some of these amenities on this part of the map, and then we can continue to actually add in some more campfires. And then while they're working on getting all this constructed, we can think about adding in a few houses on this side. And then we're not going to go too overboard. We can add in some of the single lodges and some of the doubles. And then we'll get a few of the decorations around, plus a couple contemplation spots. And then we can get some storage for the books, and then also add in a rooftop terrace, since it seems like we can never get enough of those. We have a 6-day drought, which is actually not that bad. But once again, we do not really need to worry about droughts at this point since we have over 17,000 water. Something else we did in the last episode was drastically expand our gravity battery situation. So we now have a bunch of gravity batteries over here in Twigtop Ridge. And this should help us with our power situation since we were running out of power during the last few episodes. And that's what's powering everything over here. And then this whole network is connected way down here with some of these water wheels, and then the other ones that go through the mountain, which we have so many things going on. It's actually a little bit laggy in this world now, but that is probably part of the price to pay if you want to get to 1000 beavers. Surprisingly, our main district, the original one, the District of Bavaria, actually has a lower well-being score than the Beaverland Hills over here. These guys are all the way up to 51, but we should take a big picture look at the well-being. It seems like wet fur is lacking quite a bit, and then we could probably fit some more contemplation spots around. And then overall the decorations are doing okay. We're probably about halfway what we should be. So while we increase our beaver population, we should also work on trying to get some more of those well-being items for the beavers to make their lives a little bit more enjoyable. And I see that we built our reservoir expansion, but I never actually connected it in. Pretty sure that I wanted to replace one of these levees at the bottom with a sluice that goes in that direction. And then we'd probably have a couple dams or floodgates on top of this. That way we'd have these 2 sections fill up with water first, and then any extra water would come into here and then could flow back into this main reservoir when we use it during the droughts. So hopefully I remember to do that. I don't really want to get rid of these levees at the moment while this is full and we do have a drought going on. I'm going to do a little bit of rearranging over here. I think we can easily fit some houses along this side, but I want to make some stairs go up a little bit closer to these campfires. And then we can shave off one level of the dirt blocks. So we'll be able to integrate the houses into the side of the mountain a little bit. So we have a few houses that are down along here, and they can access those through this path. And then we have our stairs, and it's a little bit hard to see, but we can access these houses from over here. We'll get some decorations set up. I also noticed that we were lacking in maple pastries, but we do have a bunch of maple syrup right over here, and it seems like we actually have not been picking it all, which means that I suspect we have maxed out on maple syrup somewhere in here. In this district alone, we have about 1,300, so we probably just need to get a bakery set up. It requires wheat flour, maple syrup, and then a little bit of logs. But that should be a pretty easy fix, but we do want to place it somewhere that is kind of central. Thankfully, we have a bunch of open space right here, so we can add in 3 of these bakeries and then make sure we tie them in. And then it looks like we have cattail flour. We also have wheat flour, but is that in this district? I don't actually think we do. So we'll need to make sure we can process some in here and also get wheat into this district. But I do think we have wheat since we have these mud pits, and those required wheat to construct in the first place. So we can actually get rid of all these lumber mills since we are not using them, and we're pretty much maxed out on planks in this district. And then we can get a couple grist mills and have those both set to wheat flour. And hopping back over to our newest district, it looks like we actually did start filling this up. And since we still have water in here, it's been allowing the mechanical fluid pumps to continue pumping water, and it seems like we actually were successful. So that is a nice little bonus. The next question is, what do we actually do with the water up here? We are running a little bit low on power. We have about a third of what we need, and then some of that is these poor beavers over here. Something that we could do is try to tie this power network into our main one over here. This one we have a good amount of power. I think we have some gravity batteries over here as well. It seems like they're doing fine. We did also add a lot of windmills several episodes ago. Normally it's kind of nice to have some of the power shafts out of the way and out of sight. But for here, if we connect this in, let's do something a little bit different. Let's make a humongous structure that goes across this river and do something a little bit unorthodox. We can go from up top right over here. Let's go across, tie into this reservoir, and then from there we can go maybe to the edge of it over here, and then we can go across the river. We'll probably want to add some zipline stations along the way. That way we have some checkpoints and it's easier for the beavers to get to those, which means we're going to be incorporating some of these metal platforms. We do have one of the zipline stations over here that has no attachments. This one only has one zipline going down here, so I think we can fit one right up in this section. And unfortunately the line is obstructed from right here. Let's see, we can always connect into this one, and then we'll probably have another checkpoint across here. Although we could probably switch this for a zipline pylon, and we'll just switch this station to be in this section instead. And then we can start the overhang going along here, but we'll need to have the power shafts go up, so maybe we get rid of this single platform. In my mind, there's basically 2 ways we could do this. We could either have the platforms on the bottom and then have the power shafts on top, which will require a second layer below so that the beavers can actually walk under here to construct everything. Alternatively, we could have the vertical power shafts on top of the overhangs, and then we'd have the path on top of that, but it's kind of personal preference. And this is what we're going to go with. We can have the beavers of Bavaria start working their way in this direction. And at this point, we have gone all the way across the reservoir. We'll just need to wait for the beavers and boss to construct all this. And then the next step is going to be, how do we want to go across here? Because this is quite a span. And we're obviously going to have the Beavers of Bavaria work on constructing this. I think we'll want to go from right back here, which means we'll need to get some more overhangs. We currently have it ending right above the trees. But if we have a 6 long overhang, we should be able to tie in perfectly. And then we're going to have to go up from here. I think the spiral staircases are actually going to be very helpful in this situation. So for this portion, we might want to have the vertical power shafts so we can go on top of them. It might be a little bit easier, but we'll have this set here for now. They won't be able to reach this middle platform, but that's okay. I'm not entirely sure I want it right here. Kind of a placeholder for now. Wow, they actually already finished constructing all this, so we can start getting the overhangs going in this direction. So based on these overhangs, we'll actually need to raise this up even more. So I might want to actually pause this. Let's not have them finish constructing it. I think we'll do one more full spiral up, so we can remove this. All the resources are right here. We can have them collect that immediately. Although I see that we actually don't have a great path to get over here. It might be worth adding in another zipline station. So now it's just how do we want to actually connect it in. I'm seeing that we have these ones go across. Maybe we switch it so we have this one going over here. I don't really want to terminate this one because we might have some beavers get trapped in the river, but we'll wait until it's nighttime. Even with most of the beavers asleep, we're still having bots go across, but we'll see if we can time it perfectly. Looks like none of them got trapped, which is excellent. We can switch this one over here, and now I bet we can set up a zip line that goes across over here. And this is perfect. This one will now go over to this little zipline pylon. That'll go over this one. Then we can get right over here, which should make this area much easier to get to. And now that they've constructed all this, you can see that the path is actually green. It was red before. Since I think the bots and beavers had to go all the way through here, walk all the way across, and that is just not efficient for this. Well, we're going to be at a much closer level for the overhangs. We're probably going to be a little bit above, which is not the end of the world. And then it seems we have 833 beavers in the entire world, so we're getting up there. We can probably add a few more houses down here, since we have plenty of space in this main district. And then if we want to get the zipline station connected into something for the overhangs, we could use the zipline beam, which I actually have not used that before. But first we'll continue getting our power shafts going up. And honestly, this is a great time to show that we actually have the new zoom feature. So we can zoom even farther out than we could before, which really lets us see how big this map is. It'll be much easier to see during the daytime though. So I have some more of these overhangs and the power shafts set up now. We'll have them work their way over here. We'll have this little 3x3 at the end. And then way over here we have something similar. And I think this should work pretty well to get the zipline station set up between both of these, and then they should be able to connect in. And then once they've constructed this, we can get some of the vertical power shafts set up here. We'll need to build up a ways if you want to be able to fit the zipline station on top, and that is the goal. We will also need a zipline station over here somewhere. We have this one where the beavers can hop out of, but maybe we remove some of these medical beds and then we can go across here, have that tie into the zipline station, and that'll go across to this one. Since we do have this reservoir up here, I think we should do some fun stuff that involves water. We have the showers, which are pretty easy to add in. We also have the Lidos, so we'll probably want to make those up one level, which at first they're not actually going to be connected in, since it's taking the water a little bit to fill up. In fact, this actually is not even pumping at the moment, since we don't have water in here. And then hopping back over to one of our other reservoirs, I did remember, so we can remove these and then we can add the sluice in. And then I think we'll do a couple dams on top. So we'll want the sluice to be facing this way, and then we can have this set to permanently be open, because the goal is to take advantage of the water evaporation and how there's going to be less water evaporating from this surface area than if it were spread out between these two sections. So this part will fill up, and then it will overtop through the dam, come into here, and then continue to fill this whole area up. And then during a drought, when they have been pumping water out of here, the water will flow through the sluice back into this section. But for now, it's coming in through this way. So the beavers are working on getting the rest of this constructed. And we now have a whopping 217 beavers who are unemployed. We have no unemployed bots, which is good news. But I am starting to notice it is getting a little bit laggier moving around. We have so many beavers and so many bots. Plus we have a lot of windmills and carousels and water wheels. So it kind of makes sense it's going to be a little bit slower. And then we can actually manage to get the path to go over here, I believe. We'll be able to take advantage of the spiral staircase. And of course we immediately trap some beavers up here. So let's see if we can leave this for now. Hopefully they all leave. Oh gosh, I think we should just... Oh, I was going to say we should pause it. And then on the other end they're going to be working on getting the metal blocks here. And we'll do something similar, elevating the zipline station. And then we can start connecting these ones in. I'm hoping this is not going to be too steep of an angle. And we have this zipline station set up. Let's see if it'll actually connect. We could go even steeper. That is nuts. Well, this is going to fit in perfectly. We'll be able to get up here and then make the construction go even quicker. Looks like we can go right across, and then we'll just need a 2x1. And then we'll have everything connected in. They finished it on this side, so we'll do something similar now. Get these vertical power shafts set up. And then we have the second zipline station. This should be able to connect if I can find the zip line. Looks like there's no overlap that is far enough away. The real question is, can we connect this one right over here? And look at that. It all works out. So we're getting pretty close to connecting this whole system in. You can see these power shafts are spinning, so that means they're connected to this system. And then over here, these ones are not spinning. We have this, oh, we're missing one connection piece. Can they actually reach this one? Okay, they should be able to, so they'll get that in. And then these spinning pieces will then connect to these ones. And of course we trapped ourselves. So let's get those bots out of there. Oh, we trapped another bot. This is not going well. I think I just need to abandon trying to put everything down at once. And instead just get these stairs set up first. That way we can block their path. And then once they can't go past here, we can set all the power shafts so they only walk on top. But now the beavers can go from this side and from this side. And is it quicker to actually go all the way around? That is something else. We are nearly connected in. We're making great progress. Books are not really going up a whole lot. We're still hovering around 140. We can try adding in a few small warehouses right here. We'll have 2 of them set to paper and then obtain and prioritize by haulers. Man, they made those fast. Maybe we should relocate these showers to down here because we don't really want to be sucking water out of this, and the showers do use a little bit of water. So we can remove all those. They'll collect the resources and then we can move them over here. So these showers will have more access to water in the long run. And then also we have twice the amount of mechanical fluid pumps pumping water into here as we have pumping up here. So there should still be a surplus even if we have a water pump plus the showers running. And we are on the last few pieces. You can actually see that the power shafts are turning in opposite directions. So we'll see which one changes directions. Oh, I actually missed this. We gotta remove this right here. So now that everything's lined up, let's see which one is going to switch directions. Place your bets right now. I'm guessing the one on the right switches. And I think that is what actually happened. We'll do a quick slow motion replay of that. I didn't quite see it, but I'm pretty sure this one switched. But now we have a humongous power network. It expands from right there all the way to over here. And then we even have it underground. Oh yeah, it connects into these ones right here. We have some water wheels. We could always add more if we need. In fact, we might need to. We only have 6,000 power out of about 9,000. So that's not great. And we don't even have 2 of these going. We can probably pause this 3rd observatory since we have 150,000 science now. Let's go around the colony, see if we have any beavers who are sitting around. I noticed we were maxed out on planks, so we can probably pause one of these. And then explosives is going to be similar. And then I don't even know the last time we used any dirt. And now we're getting 12,000 power, so I think it's part of the cyclical nature of this river. You can see our gravity batteries are charging up a bit. Looks like they're probably at 3/4 capacity. And now you can see we are fully connected in. If we zoom out, it definitely does stand out as an arch across the river. And maybe removing those showers helped a little bit. You can see we are pretty much full here. We can add in a few more platforms and then we can get some more fun activities for the beavers. We'll get a second Lido. Before we wrap up today's video, let's add a few more houses since we're 860 and I think we can get that a little bit closer to 900. We added in about 40 beds of capacity right here. And that is where we're going to wrap up today's episode. We made fantastic progress. Really soon we're going to be at 900 beavers. And I know in the next episode we can definitely hit that 1,000 mark. We were able to successfully bridge the gap across this river and connect our power systems in together. I think the final project will be connecting this power system into the other big one over here. So we'll have to figure out how we want to go from right here all the way across and connect into these carousels. Alternatively, we could go from right here and then across and up. And man, we could really go pretty far across here and then connect into the water wheels instead. Or maybe we could go across from here into this side. I think we probably don't want to do that. I'm leaning towards we go somewhere over here, but I'll leave that for the next episode. Leave your comments on what you think I should do. This is by far the biggest map that I've ever worked on. When we zoom out, we can really get a perspective on everything that's gone on in this world. So if you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button. It really does mean a lot to me. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out some of the live streams on Saturday mornings. Those are always a ton of fun and I really look forward to those each week. And with that, we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.